just because you're intermittent fasting, it doesn't mean that you're going to have serious weight loss. Many people practice intermittent fasting with no results at all. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact outline you should follow if you want to lose fat quickly on your body. Hey Wellness Warrior, I'm Dr. Zarowski, and the one thing about intermittent fasting that's really important to realize is that it is not a diet, it is a strategy that you have in your toolbox in order to help you further your health goals. And so whenever thinking about intermittent fasting, look at it as just that. It's a tool, right? Now, knowing the proper diet to follow is also going to be a key part though, if you're trying to gain any type of results with intermittent fasting. As I mentioned before, people intermittent fast all the time and get zero results. I have individuals say, well, yeah, I've lost, some water weight in the beginning, but then everything's stalled, right? So it's very possible to intermittent fast and not get continuous weight loss and actually get hardly any benefit at all if you're not doing it correctly. So some of the top diets, because I just mentioned the diet that you are following while doing this healthy strategy of intermittent fasting is very important. The 4 top diets that I like to utilize while intermittent fasting are going to be paleo, carnivore, keto, and Mediterranean diet. Now, those are the top diets I like to use, and I'll circle back as to when I use each one and when it's most appropriate. Now, as I mentioned, it's possible to get zero results with intermittent fasting. And if that's you, then there's a few other things that you want to dial in. And when we think about intermittent fasting, there's a couple hormones we really want to take highly into consideration. One of them is going to be insulin, which is going to be very important, okay? Insulin is important for a lot of reasons. If you have insulin resistance, first of all, you're not going to be able to lose weight. So you fall into that category where you have weight loss resistance, and you have to solve that before you'll ever get into the fat burning zone. So we want to get insulin under control. We also have growth hormone we want to take into consideration and how we boost that as high as possible. And then for men, of course, testosterone comes along with that. Now with insulin, we want to make sure that we're following a healthy diet so that when we intermittent fast, we don't have a ton of sugar stores in our body, a bunch of glycogen stores that our body's just sitting there utilizing during that fasted state. We want to eat healthy so that we don't have all that stored sugar and then we can really get into that fasted state quickly. And so if we are in a position eating a healthy diet and intermittent fasting, then it drives our insulin down. If we want to boost growth hormone to get the absolute best results in healing, because that's what growth hormone does very well for us, the thing that you can do is you can do fasted exercise, okay? So you're gonna wake up, let's say you're doing 16 and 8, and you're not gonna eat your first meal till noon, work out first thing in the morning and then fast all the way till noon. It's a great way to boost growth hormone. Now, as we look at some further strategies in order to get us to weight loss, we've considered the hormones. But then, as I mentioned before, if we don't get insulin under control, weight loss doesn't happen. Remember that. And remember too, that insulin resistance is a precursor to inflammation in your body. And if you have a lot of inflammation in your body, it's very difficult for these hormones to work correctly. So if you want these cell receptors to be able to hear the signals from these hormones and your body to be able to communicate properly, it's very important to make sure that we dampen inflammation. And we dampen inflammation by reducing insulin resistance. We reduce insulin resistance by fasting. And fasting is probably one of the most powerful keys to really driving down insulin resistance, right? Like following the healthy diet's very important, right? Maybe taking supplementation is going to be important. But another thing that works really well, and I see this with individuals I'm working with all the time, if we really want to drive that insulin resistance down and reverse it, we have to focus on doing intermittent fasting. Now, when you are just living a standard, let's just say standard lifestyle, right? 3 meals a day, snacking all the time, you're constantly pushing insulin up, right? And you don't have to be eating junk food in order to boost up insulin. You can actually just eat healthy food and constantly spike insulin in your body. So let's say you're just eating 3 meals a day and you're snacking in between. You're basically kind of priming that insulin pump all day long. So ideally what we want to do is start cutting back. And then that's where 16 and 8 intermittent fasting comes in. So what you're going to do is fast for 16 hours, eat all your meals within an 8-hour period. And when you're fasting for that 16 hours, you're driving your insulin levels very low. It's going to set you up for fat burning. If you're eating a healthy diet, one of the 4 I mentioned, you're going to get better results. Now, let's say you're doing 16 and 8. and you kind of come to a wall where you're not necessarily getting results like you want to. Well, the first thing you can do is incorporate fasted exercise. That's going to help drive things further. But the other thing that you can do is you can actually fast a little bit longer. You can do one meal a day where you eat all your meals within a 2-hour period and fast for 22 hours. That's a viable option for many individuals. And that helps you further drive insulin down, which would further put you into a fat burning state. So now let's say that you've done 16 and 8, you've worked your way into one meal a day, and now we're looking to take it a little bit further. Doing a 24-hour fast once a week is also a very viable way to start losing more weight. Okay, so you could be doing 16 and 8 all week and throw in a 24-hour fast. You can do one meal a day all week and throw in a 24-hour fast. It's not a big deal. Now, if you want to even take it further, one of the ways I love to do this is putting in a 48-hour fast every other week, okay? And so let's say, once again, 16 and 8 with a 24-hour fast one week, the next week you do a 48-hour fast. Okay, these are all viable options to really help you drive down insulin resistance and make you tap into your fat stores and burn the belly fat. Now, it's very important to realize that when you're doing intermittent fasting, this isn't a starvation technique, okay? You should be hitting proper calories. And just because you're intermittent fasting, it doesn't mean that you should just put the idea of counting calories by the wayside. It's good to know the calories you're consuming, and it's also important to know the macros you're consuming if you really want to dial in your health. One of the biggest mistakes I see individuals make who are intermittent fasting is that you tend to not eat enough protein, especially women. So many women will say, you know, I'm doing all this healthy lifestyle stuff and my hair keeps falling out. Well, you're not getting near enough protein, right? So watch your macros, watch your calories. We often hear many people in the natural health space say, hey, forget all that counting calorie stuff and all the things you hear the fitness gurus say, right? No, there's a little bit of importance to all of it, and we have to take all of it into consideration, because if you're fasting too much and not eating proper calorie intake, then what you're going to find is that you start to crash your metabolism. Okay, that's not smart either. So we have to always be smart about this. Like if you're doing 16 and 8, it should help you not overeat, but you certainly should be hitting proper calories, proper macros. One meal a day, proper calories, proper macros, but help you not overeat. And then when you're doing these 24-hour, 48-hour fasts, it really helps you go into that fasted state, boost autophagy. It's a very different thing, right, than just cutting calories every single day and starving yourself. So we want to make sure that we go into that fasted state, but when we come out, we're eating proper calories again. Now, as you look at what methods you should move towards, first of all, start slow and move into it. You don't have to start with a 3-day fast. You don't have to start with a 48-hour fast. Start with simple 16 and 8. If you can't even hit that, that's okay. Just start with a 12-hour fast throughout the night. So start somewhere. It's all about starting somewhere. If you want to actually start improving your health, you have to find a place to start. You know, sometimes it can be a little bit uncomfortable for individuals, but if you're one of those people that finds this uncomfortable, just remember that comfort will lead you to disease down the road. If you get into that negative feedback cycle where you're just eating sugar all the time and you're eating too much food, and every night your plates keep getting bigger and bigger and you continue to overconsume and overindulge, eventually you are found in a place where you're full of disease and metabolic syndrome and everything else. So we can actually choose some discomfort that improves our life today. And intermittent fasting is certainly one of them, and following a healthy diet. Now, I mentioned earlier, I would say which diet would be the best to follow. Now, I think that if you're just looking for serious weight loss, the ketogenic diet is a great way to go, especially when you're doing intermittent fasting. Now, if you're looking for serious weight loss and you're suffering from health conditions, especially immune system disorders, autoimmune problems, gut problems, right? This is something that many people are struggling with. I would go with the carnivore diet, okay? Because I'm finding some really good results with this clinically. And when I mention any of these things, I will tell you that I'm on the ground working with people every single day. This isn't some hypothetical thing where I read a paper, I read it in a book somewhere. I'm working with people every day. In my career, I've seen over 20,000 patient visits, so therefore I am doing these things and I am seeing what is working on the ground. So the carnivore diet works very good for those situations. In fact, I followed the carnivore diet myself for periods of time and I really like it. It's more doable than you think. Now, if you want to learn more about the carnivore diet, I have lots of videos on my channels about that, by the way. Now, as far as the paleo diet and the Mediterranean diet, it is the best diet to follow long term. Okay, focus on eating whole foods, it focuses on eating high quality fats, it focuses on eating all the right things, good sources of protein. And so if you're just looking for a good quality diet, you're like, hey, look, I don't want to go into the keto, I don't want to go into carnivore, I don't feel that that's right for me, but I'm looking for something good and sustainable for the long haul, paleo and Mediterranean are a great way to go in those cases. And so see which one is right for you. Try them all out, right? I mean, I've done every single one of these diets that I've mentioned for a period of time. And I actually go and I cycle through them throughout the year. I say, oh, let's do keto for a little bit. Okay, man, stuff going on in my body, I don't like what I see. Let's do carnivore for a while. And then just on an average day, it's more Mediterranean and paleo for me because like I said, it's sustainable, it's easy to follow, and it's just good whole food eating that's going to cut inflammation in your body, cut down on insulin resistance, and then you throw a strategy like intermittent fasting in and you get great results. Now also notice that I didn't say anything about a vegan diet or a vegetarian diet. I'm personally not a big fan of these. Clinically, I see a lot of problems with these diets. I see a lot of individuals whose blood work is all backwards and upside down simply because they're following a diet like this and not doing it correctly. It becomes very hard for people to sustain these diets, and a lot of times individuals who are following a diet like this are over consuming carbohydrates, which is driving insulin resistance and inflammation and even weight gain and weight problems in their lifestyle. So here's the thing, is that those 4 diets I mentioned are the top ones that I would use. And I really think that if you follow this strategy, serious weight loss will not be a thing for you. I mean, literally it'll be a thing of the past. And not to mention, we're talking weight loss here, but like your overall health will improve in every single possible metric. I promise you. So give this video a thumbs up. And if you like this video, go ahead and check out this video next.